Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another live. Okay, so what's the subject for today? Sorry. We're going to be talking about the EB-5. That's the investment visa. But specifically, I'd like to talk about the petition to remove the conditional residence. So, what happens at the end of the 2 years when you get the EB-5 approved and what needs to be shown and so forth? Because I'm getting issues from potential clients and clients about what needs to be done and what they need to do and what they need to show. So I thought I'd go into that a little bit. And then what I'll do is I will go back. I will look at whatever questions you have, and I will answer them in the order given for whatever time I have. I do have consults that I have to give after my spiel here today, so we'll get as much as I can. And by the way, later this week, I'm going to be heading to the Supreme Court of Texas, the what they call, Texas has two. You want to hear something interesting? Texas has two Supreme Courts. There's only two states in the entire United States that has two co-equal Supreme Courts. One is Texas and one is Oklahoma. And what that means is that in Texas, if you have a criminal case that has to go up and be appealed all the way to the Supreme Court, that'll go to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. And I know it's kind of weird. It uses the name appeals, but it's really a Supreme Court. And then if you have any other issues that need to go up, it goes to what is called the Texas Supreme Court. So I'm going to be sworn in as a Texas attorney at the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals later this week. And that's going to be in Austin. And then we're going to go visit Austin and see what they have there. So I could, I guess, get some really good barbecue and brisket sandwiches and whatever else. And I guess they have really good music in Austin too. So if there's any recommendations from you, let me know. All right. Well, let's get to it. Well, EB-5 is the investment visa. So, if you've heard about it, okay, well, anyone who gets an EB-5 has a lot of money, millions, some dollars. They invest in a business. And we're not talking about the regional center. We're talking about when they invest in their own business. Now, unlike many other types of visas that you get, when you get them, and for the green card, you get them and that's it. The EB-5 has had a lot of fraud and questions and behaviors in the past that previously in the law, they basically mandated it. It's just like a marriage petition in some respects, which is kind of funny. When you get a marriage petition, you get a conditional green card, which means you get it for 2 years. But then as it approaches the end of the 2 years, you have to file a petition to remove the conditional residency so you get the permanent green card. And by permanent, I mean 10 years. Same thing exists with an EB-5. Only I can tell you right now, it is way harder to do the petition to remove the conditional residency with an EB-5. Okay? So, when I get a call from somebody who got the EB-5 approved originally, and the nature is, well, I haven't been able to hire the tenant, and just so you know, they'll say something like, my 2 years expires in a month. And I haven't been able to get the 10 employees, which are required. I haven't been able to do a lot of business. I haven't been able to even keep the company running, minus the fact that, it's still basically incorporated. What can you do to help me remove the conditions on my 2-year green card? And when I hear something like that, this is the reason that they have the conditional residency. Okay? This is the reason because these people will come in with a ton of money, they'll invest, they'll get the original green card, but then they won't follow up. They won't do what they have to do in order to remove the condition that is on their green card so they can get the permanent green card. So, in actuality, the removal of the conditional residency is more important than the actual petition, the original one itself. I mean, how do you make and remove the conditions on an EB-5 when you can't even show you hired the proper amount of people? You can't even show you've been properly in business. It screams fraud, okay? Or it screams you just came in to get the green card, but then you didn't really want to run the business, okay? And so if you're going to take the money and invest in an EB-5, and some people, the amount of money they invest, either it's not really theirs, or they got their inheritance, or they have so much other it doesn't matter. You can't just sit there. Even if you hire somebody, you have to have good communications with your attorney. You have to go through the whole 2 years. You have to run the business. You have to get the employees. You have to get the financials. You have to do everything that's necessary so that when it comes time to do the renewal or the petition to remove the conditional residency, you have all that thing. You can't realistically argue, with a month to go, well, business wasn't so good, just didn't have time to do it. They don't care. And even if that was the case, what proof do you have? I mean, what could you show? You probably can't even show you had anyone on payroll or that you were even running the business. They know what you were doing. You came in, you got the green card, then you went to the beach and you had a good time. And unfortunately for the EB-5, that's not going to work. You have to do everything necessary to build up your case. So when it's time to remove the conditions, that it's done, okay? Otherwise, you're going to lose the green card. And you know what happens when that happens? You lose status. Thanks for the rose, Ramon. You know what happens? You lose your status. You could be put in removal proceedings. You could have to leave the country. You could get removed. I mean, all kinds of bad stuff. So it's important. You can't just play around, okay? If you're going to go through the trouble of hiring an attorney in the first place to get you an EB-5, you got to follow what you got to follow in order to maintain it, okay? The attorneys aren't magicians. They can't take a case where you haven't done anything and you've just let the business sit there without, doing business and think that they're going to be able to file a coherent, persuasive, nice case to show that the condition should be removed. Okay? So that's more or less it. All right. So, let's see what questions we have. I can't stay on the live that long today because I have to hop off and give consults. You know how it is. I was trying to get on earlier, but one email after another. That's how it is. Okay. So let me just scroll down here. So, number one. Number one got the number one gifter badge. What happens if you move to number two, number one? Okay. Let's see. Okay, anyone who wants to send me some roses, I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Thank you for liking the live. Thanks, Christy. Got a rose from Christy. Okay. Oh, we have lots of people that joined, but so far not a lot of questions, which is okay. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Let's see what we have. Okay, this is from Kimberly. My brother is immigration. I think you mean he's in immigration detention. I'm not sure. And he was caught for reckless driving, but he's married to a citizenship girl. So I think what you're saying is he's in immigration detention. He has reckless driving, and he's married to a U.S. citizen. What can he do? Okay, if that's not what you mean, let me know. Well, first of all, he should get representation because they're going to try to deport him. And what's really sad is when you have someone who has a case who could have filed decent petitions and they just give up and they're deported, and then it takes forever to get them back and it becomes a lot more difficult. I mean, reckless driving is not a good thing, but there's waivers available for it. And if he is married to a U.S. citizen, first I would need to know, did he ever have his green card? If so, how many years has he been here? Will he qualify for cancellation of removal for lawful permanent residence? If he never had the green card, how did he enter the country, and does he qualify to adjust with a criminal waiver? With the reckless driving, has he already taken a plea? Has he already pled guilty? Has already been convicted? Or is he in the criminal court still? Okay, so lots of questions, but there's ways of helping him. What I would tell you is you need to tell him that when an ICE official comes to him and says, you need to sign here no matter what anyone tells you, that's a lie. And he needs to be respectful, but say his attorney, his immigration attorney, said that he's not to sign anything. Okay, don't sign a thing. Tell him that. Okay. All right. What do we have here? Are IJs going to be stricter under this new amendment? Are you noticing more denials of relief? The answer to both those questions, Saul, are yes and yes. Okay. I am noticing more denials for relief because the trial attorneys have some kind of orders, which you can imagine what they are. Fight and deny everything you possibly humanly can. Okay, so you have that. So, immigration law and immigration courts is an uphill battle anyways. It's never been easy. You've never gone to immigration court, said, well, this adjustment's going to be a piece of cake. Okay, that's never happened. So basically what's happened is the hill's gotten a little steeper. Okay, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. That doesn't mean that you can't do what you have to do to file and to get the relief needed. Okay, so, if the choice is fight the case, even though it's harder, or just give up and, be deported, well, of course you're going to fight it. And if you're going to fight it, get an attorney who knows what they're doing. Okay? All right, Kimberly, this is a follow-up question. They just released him from prison, but ICE got him when he was getting released. Okay, I see. So he was released from criminal detention, and now he's in immigration detention. Okay, so everything's still doable. It's still possible to bond him out. It's still possible to, fight the case in immigration court. I would need to see if he qualifies for adjustment or cancellation or some other form of relief. Bottom line, you can give my office a call, but get an immigration attorney to represent him in removal proceedings and have him sign nothing. Okay? All right. Joffrey. I have personally seen so many family members getting denied for not submitting I-9s for hired employees. Well, if your family members own businesses and they are hiring employees, it is within the legal mandates that they get I-9s. And if they do not get I-9s from those employees coming to their businesses, they are violating the law. Okay? It's as simple as that. If you have a business and you're going to hire somebody, you need to have them fill out an I-9. Bottom line. Okay? All right. Let's see. And Kimberly, they charged him with a felony. Okay, well, if reckless driving, it must have been really reckless. Well, I need to see exactly what the statutory language is of the conviction. Okay, normally a reckless driving is not a felony. Thanks, Christy, for the rose. Um, Normally it's not a felony, which means I don't know if with the reckless there was injury. Okay, but give my office a call. I'll be able to determine very quickly how to help. Okay, Trey Money. Did I pronounce that right? I-130 and 601I approved. 3 vacated cases. Now can I go back to the interview, provide 212 to come back? Okay. I'm going to need more information because first of all, the I-130 can be approved if you have 22 different crimes and none of them have been vacated, so that doesn't matter. The 601, I assume, you know, I assume you're talking about the waiver and you're saying that it's been approved, okay? And that you have an approved 212, which means you've been deported. So, of course, you need to have the approved I-212, which allows you to come back into the country legally. You need to have approved waivers. And, of course, if it's an I-130, it's a family petition. I don't think you could have gotten the waivers if the vacated cases were not properly shown. But keep in mind that if people try to do, cases in criminal court where they get them vacated and it's not done properly, you may have a vacated case, but it might not help you in immigration law. So it had to be vacated properly. Okay, Jay. Well, that's a short, easy name to remember, Jay. We have our consulate appointment on 5/13, flying into El Paso to Juarez. So nervous because of real ID requirements. Well, do you not have your real ID? And I'm assuming that's the case. So the question I would have, Jay, because I've seen this happen a lot, is people are inadmissible and they don't qualify for waivers and they leave to go to the consulate because they think everything's hunky-dory and either they're hopeful, they're not realistically hopeful, but they're hopeful and they think that, they don't need to have an attorney type thing. And then they end up going to the interview and it gets denied and they get barred from coming back into the United States. So I would need to know what your current status is. I mean, before you would leave, I would very strongly urge you to get a consultation from an immigration attorney to make sure that you are not barred from coming back. And if you need a waiver, that you don't leave without, maybe you qualify for a provisional waiver, okay? It all depends. Okay, it says I have a flash goal here. What's that mean? 6 gifters send rose to your live in 15 minutes. All right, well, I'll put that up there. I don't know if I'm going to be on the live for 15 more minutes, but I put the flash goal there. I think it's always cool to see if we can do it. Well, Kimberly, if he has court on May 2nd, then you need to get an immigration attorney right away. I've been retained a lot of times, like literally a day or two before court, okay? And even in different states, and then I file what I need to and I pair telephonically. And by telephonically, I mean they have a whole system where, they have video. It's like Zoom, so it's as good as being there. It just means you're not physically there. He doesn't want to do this himself. They are not there to help him. There's one thing you have to learn. When someone's in immigration court, they do not have the sympathy of the judge. They do not have the sympathy of the trial attorney. They do not care two hoots about this person. He is a number and he's another file, and if they can get rid of him by just getting him deported, they will. That's why immigration attorneys help, because they slow things down and they file for what they need and they get them the relief, hopefully, that they apply for. Okay? All right. Do I need to have, this is from Amanda. Do I need to have the I-130 approved to do a motion to close a deportation? I have the receipt only. Well, first of all, the terminology here is not correct. I don't know what you mean to close a deportation. I'm assuming what you mean is that there's a deportation order and you want to reopen the hearing so that you can either file for an adjustment or whatever. And if it's going to be through family-based petition and USCIS has only the jurisdiction to approve an I-130, it's better to have the approval. Sometimes those take a long time, though. It's better. Okay? This is from Christy. Hello, I'm an LPR 8 years ago. I got a DUI misdemeanor, none aggravated. Can I renew my green card? It depends what state you're in, and it depends on the statutory language of the DWI. Generally, if it is over 5 years old, you're able to, but you still could be inadmissible depending upon, or deportable depending upon the statutory language. Strangely enough, in some cases like this, it's actually easier. You have a better chance of becoming a U.S. citizen than trying to renew your green card. Believe it or not. It's a strange area of the law, but that's the reality. Okay? So give me a call and I'll let you know. Whoops. Wait. Okay. This is from Khalil. Is the U.S. Embassy and Djibouti backlog busy? Okay, I don't have in my mind the backlog of every embassy on the planet. Okay, every U.S. one. But I can tell you they're all busy. Okay, but it's not really just a question if they're busy or not. I mean, if jurisdictionally you have to go there, what's it matter if they're busy? It doesn't matter. You know, many times you can't just pick and choose the embassy that you want to go to because you're not allowed. Okay? And more importantly, we have a goal here of getting 6 roses in 11 minutes. So we'll see how that goes. Okay? So it really depends what you're applying for. And it depends what you qualify for. That's the only reason I can see you're asking if they're busy, because you're trying to shop around for a consulate somewhere. Okay. Well, March 14th, your name is March 14th. Hello, I won SIDS State Court. Is there any possibility I can win from USCIS? Well, if you're applying for a SIDS petition, it's not so much that you won, but you got what you needed, apparently, from the state court. And then it's not a matter of whether you win from USCIS. It's a matter of whether you take what you have from the state court, put the SIDS petition together, and file it in a timely manner to USCIS in the hopes that they will grant it. Okay? So, of course, there's a possibility if it's done properly. Okay? All right. Okay, well, Khalil, I understand you applied for your wife, and that's where she is. So, yes, jurisdictionally, that you're welcome, March 14th. And that's where she is. So she's not going to be able to shop around. So if it's taken a long time or overly long time, you can file a writ of mandamus. And the writ of mandamus forces them, if approved, to make a decision rather than sitting on it forever. Because I don't know how long your petition has been sitting. I don't know if she's on some list and so forth. Okay? All right. Well, I think we are approaching the end of my live for today because I do have consults I have to get to. So it's been a pleasure. Everybody have a good day. It's nice and sunny out today. So everybody have a good day. And until the next live.